by the power of Grayskull.
Welcome to Cardboard Bots. Today we're going to look at X-Transbots MX3 Saboteur Elagos. It's their take on a Masterpiece style version of Target Master Cyclonus. He comes packaged as a robot, but I like to start all my reviews in vehicle mode. Cyclonus made his debut in the 1986 Transformers movie. The movie was set in the far-off future of 2005, and we can look at Cyclonus as a futuristic space jet. Here he is next to his concept sketch. Here's how he looked in the scene in the movie. That's pretty darn accurate if you ask me. And this is how his toy looked in 1986. He hits all the major design cues from both the animation and the toy, with one exception. His jet mode isn't as slim or sleek, he's a little thick in the middle. But then again, any of us who are around in 1986, we're carrying some extra cargo since way back then. Here's how he scales next to a Masterpiece Seeker. The Masterpiece scale that we know and love started with this jet, MP3 Starscream. Here he is next to an Ultra Class Silverbolt from 2008. Unique Toys Buzzing, aka Blur, also from the 86 movie. Here he is next to the Transformer, formerly known as Prince. The Combiner War Cyclonus was also pretty thick. Alright, now that we got the obligatory vehicle comparisons over with, let's talk about some accessories he comes packed with. Elagos comes with a nice transparent flight stand, which you can use in two different positions. The toy is a bit heavy for the stand, it wobbles a bit, but it's sturdy and it does hold him. The stand can also be used to hold two of his weapons, but I forgot to shoot that. Speaking of shooting, Elagos comes with 3 guns. A rifle, a pistol that can store behind the cockpit, and a Target Master gun. The Target Master can tab into a special notch on the top of the jet. None of the other guns can fit in this slot, and it's just as well, because this looks stupid. However, it's an homage to the original Cyclonus toy. Sort of. In 1987, they released a version of Cyclonus with a 5mm port on top for a Target Master gun gimmick. One cool little accessory that I think everyone does appreciate about this figure is the tiny little itty bitty Galvatron inside. And he's fully articulated too. And he's smaller than a Titan Master. As accurate as this space jet design is to the cartoon, as you can see from this close-up, there's lots of little details, little panel lines, little shapes that really take the aesthetics further. Just look at the attention to detail in that cockpit. Stunning. But there's one detail I'd rather not see. Namely, the stress mark on this peg. I watched all the reviews, I read all the news about this guy, I knew to watch out for this peg. I was careful as could be, I used kid gloves on this thing during transformation, and still, this peg started to bend, and it's almost sheared off. It was a horrible design for a tab slot connection, it wasn't toleranced very well on this side, and basically, eventually, this thing is going to break right there. If you get Elagos, it will happen to you too. Not cool, X-Transbots, not cool. In theory, Elagos transforms well. In practice, it is very, very difficult. There are areas that are prone to breakage and paint chipping. Getting certain areas to tab in correctly or to line up just right is very frustrating on this toy. On the plus side, transforming from jet to robot seems a little bit easier, but it's still tremendously difficult, so I'm going to take this nice and slow. Retract the metal antenna into the nose cone, fold up the landing gear, flip up the edges of the wings and these various tabs. The tail fins untab and fold in as well. With some effort you should be able to move up the shoulders and reveal the hands coming out of the thrusters. Opening the window will give you enough room to pull up the roof. Next you want to push down on the spring-loaded cockpit, then immediately fold back the chair to lock it in place. Rotate the arms around to give you some room to work. Hinge the roof out of the way for the moment. If the back legs haven't already been untabbed, now's a good time to do it. Hinge open the back leg and extend gently. La même chose pour la autre jambe. Fold and flip the inside of the shin to become the outside of the shin. This piece gets rotated and flipped back to the side. Here's how it rotates and what position it needs to be in for folding. Here's how that looks on the other side. The legs on this guy are tricky. Adjust the stem of the shin so that we can fold up this bit that's under the thigh. Fold it in on itself again and shimmy it underneath the leg. Fold in some more landing gear if you haven't done so already. The piece that was in front is now going to hinge behind the thigh and be angled downwards. It's hard to tell here, but the stem of the shin is now tabbed into a peg slot connection right behind the kneecap. If the stem isn't tabbed into the knee for you, now's the time to do it. Hinge the stem so that it makes the knee sit in the right place. Fold the tail fin in through the thruster and then fold the thruster down and close up the back of the leg. This odd shaped panel will lock the leg in place. Flip and hinge the various parts of this panel into place and it all tabs together to make the leg. The same process goes for the other leg. I should point out that tail fin and thruster need to be pressed in very firmly to get it in the right part of the leg cavity. Pull up on the toe and then pull it back down a bit, then pull out the heel spur. Alright, let's get him upright. At this point he sort of looks like that triangle headed guy from Silent Hill. It's easy enough to unhinge the wings and tab them back into the shoulders. Hinge the roof out of the way, and let's begin working on the nose cone. The landing gear is going to go up for a bit. Untabbing the very bottom of the nose cone is relatively easy. However, I found it tricky to get the actual bottom part apart. There's many very tight tabs holding it all together, and I think I chipped some paint when I did this. Fold the nose cone down, fold in this little piece, untab and rotate out these middle bits. Be mindful not to let the painted parts roll up against the stems that are made out of die cast. Hinge and fold up the nose cone into itself, let the top pieces overlap each other. Carefully fold up and push in the rest of the backpack. Raise the shoulders to your desired height and adjust the ears as you see fit. Now that's one ferocious purple bunny rabbit. Elagos is gorgeous as a space plane, but where he really shines is in bot mode. He's purple, he's proud, he's got these great heroic proportions. Awesome curves, awesome details. He's got heft, there's die cast in those feet. He's got real stature and real presence. His color mainly comes from his plastic, but there's at least 2 or 3 types of purple paint used, and they match up with the plastic really well. I'm a big fan of letting material be that material, plastic as plastic, but where they do use paint, like on the chest and abdomen, it makes a lot of sense and it's very selective. It doesn't get much better looking than this. Here he is next to the original concept sketch for Cyclonus. It looks a bit different. It wasn't used for the movie, but it was actually used for some of the episodes of the TV show. Most of the time, his animation was based on this design. Elagos is very faithful to the animation model. From episode to episode, his color might shift a bit. In one episode might be light blue, in another might be a lavender color, or even a dark purple. In my video and lighting setup, he appears purple. Color is a very subjective experience though. In some photography I've seen, he shows up blue. I guess the best way to describe him is he's in between. He's violet with purple accents. In early test shots of this toy, his white areas were actually colored a very light pink. And I want to go on record and say, I'm okay with that. I actually would have preferred soft pink thighs and hands and biceps. Decepticons need more pinks and lavenders in the ranks. And if anyone can pull that look off, it's Cyclonus. No one's going to mess with him. Here's how his original G1 toy looked in bot mode. And here he is next to the G1 packaging artwork. Cyclonus' character was the second in command to Galvatron. He was loyal almost to a fault. He was a brave and courageous warrior with a sense of honor, even compassion for his fellow Cybertronian. In another life, he could have even been an Autobot. Of course, he did have another life. Before he became Cyclonus, he was another Decepticon. He was transformed, if you will, by Unicron, and given a new, more powerful form. Impossible! How can he be this powerful? It cannot be, but it is! That's right. I'm suggesting that Skywarp became Cyclonus.
Cyclonus, the warrior.
There may be more controversial questions about Cyclonus other than his origin as either Bombshell or Skywarp. For instance, are these ears or horns or something else entirely? Like most Japanese mecha, I think these are based off the stylized horns or antlers that you would see on samurai helmets. Basically, Cyclonus was a Cybertronian samurai with a sweet soul patch. But if Galvatron asked him to shave it off, he surely would. This is the face that he comes packaged with, and the alternate face is the one with the cyber soul patch. He comes installed with light piped eyes, but I prefer to have him with these metallic painted eyes instead. As you can see, his head rotates fine, and he can pivot it up and down. He can rotate 360 degrees at the shoulder, and it tilts up on a different sort of hinge. The shoulder can slide up and down, and there's a ratchet there. There's bicep rotation. The elbows are on a double joint system, which gives you a good range, full wrist rotation, and fully articulated digits. I really appreciate what you can do with fully articulated hands like these. He has a limited waist swivel. I wasn't expecting it, but I'm glad it's there. His skirts can move out of the way, and he has one of these. He does have a full thigh rotation at the hip joint. You can only access a limited amount of that rotation while he's standing, but you can fully get to it when he's transforming. He can do the splits really well, and those ankles have a wide range of tilt. His knees look like they can bend a little less than 90 degrees. There's two joints there. They're not double jointed per se. I'm actually using the wrong joint to do the bend here. I'm using the hinge at the upper part of the calf when I should be using the ratcheted joint that's a part of the lower part of the thigh. Some people have complained that the knees are loose. It's just that they're using the wrong hinge. They should be using the ratcheted joint instead. The ratchets are quite strong. While we've got him in this position, we might as well talk about one of my personal pet peeves. That is, obvious screws. If someone pays top dollar for a masterpiece style toy, they should expect top quality fit and finish. Screws can be recessed and capped with rubber or plastic. Or perhaps they can be covered by thin printed magnets. Say goodbye to cybernetic space herpes once and for all. Oh yes, he does have toe tilt. Alright, let's talk about his weapons. He comes with a pistol as seen from the show. The barrel extends for your play pleasure. It's grey, somewhat swirly plastic, with metallic blue highlights painted on. Looks nice. Another gun he comes with is the Rust Rifle. It's based on the gun that came with this G1 toy. It looks super sweet. It really helps him give off this soldieristic vibe. Elagos also comes with a melee weapon. If you thought Cyclonus looked like a samurai or a knight in armor, this longsword seals the deal. I believe the sword comes from his IDW comic appearances, where he's a different character with a different origin, but he's still called Cyclonus. I think the sword can draw energy from his supercharged spark or something like that. Either way, it's a nice addition to the toy and certainly increases the playability and posability. Cool weapons aside, let's get into bot mode comparisons. Here he is next to KFC's Transistor. KFC and X-Transbots are sister companies. Transistor is just a smidge shorter than MP10, so you can see just how much taller and bulkier. Oh my, that's totally unnecessary. That's senseless. I'm sure robots can't feel pain. That goes doubly so for toy robots. Alright, let's reel this back in. Here he is next to X-Transbot's Hi-Fi.
Daddy, where are you? Daddy, come back here. I'll avenge you, Daddy. I will get whoever did that to you, and they will be sorry. I will destroy whoever. Never mind, run away!
Okay. Here he is next to Titan Master Brawn. Why let a good robot body go to waste? Now let's compare him to a Masterpiece Seeker. Here he is next to the Ghost of Starscream.
Help me get revenge against Galvatron, who put me in this somewhat insubstantial condition.
Here he is next to the Voyager-sized Cyclonus from Combiner Wars. He's always looking like he's giving a thumbs up because of that hinge. Here he is next to Open and Play's Big Cannon. Now this is where you want to compare purples and violets. Elagos almost looks blue here. Of course, when you put him next to the big blue bot, KFC's Citizen Stack, he again starts to look more violet and purple. As the second in commands, Ultra Magnus and Cyclonus were pitted against each other multiple times. Each gave as good as they took. They were loyal soldiers and principled warriors. When necessary, they even fought side by side against a common foe. They did show it is possible for enemies to come together and put aside their differences. What do you say, guys? Bygones are bygones?
You ever use up, I'm gonna kick you right in the butt.
Oh well. There's one more comparison between Cyclonus and his special little buddy. No, not Tailgate. Of course, I'm talking about X-Transbot's Truncheon. This short little target master barely gets up to Elagos' knee. Now, what did they call him in the G1 cartoon?
The boys are coming, Nightstick! I hope you like busted heads! Yeah! I like busting Autobot headmasters better.
Hey, I'm stuck up here!
Everybody's gotta be somewhere.
And as shown earlier, he transforms into a gun. A very sad, ugly gun. But that's par for the course for Target Masters. He is way cool as a little robot. I had a lot of fun animating him. But as a weapon, he doesn't compare to the other accessories that Elagos comes with. I could take it or leave it.
It is my duty to take this back to Cybertron.
And it is my duty to deliver. Good workout.
Elagos' vehicle and robot modes are stunning and true to the animation. He comes with a ton of beautiful and useful accessories. There's nods to the TV show, the movie, and the G1 toy. And let's not forget, even the IDW comic. His transformation is dreadfully painful for no good reason. That peg by the cockpit just makes me want to break something! Something that's not Elagos. My frustrations with the transformation are very real, to the point where I didn't transform it going back into a jet, as I normally do for the end of these reviews, a nice quick transformation. Not doing it with this guy. Hopefully you can tell from my photos and my animation that I really enjoyed working with this toy. I've had it for over a year now, just waiting for the right moment to review it. Would I recommend this? Well, let me just say, I look forward to getting X-Transbot's version of Scourge to go along with him. I hope you find this review useful, and at least half as entertaining as it was for me making it. Did Elagos fly away with your heart? Are you bummed about Bombshell? Traumatized by the troubling transformation? Do unsightly screwheads keep you up at night? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time. Like my vids? Buy me a coffee. It's easy. Visit coffee.com/cardboardbots.
Cardboard